What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Baltimore Ravens Rundown, live a little bit earlier than we usually are on Wednesday afternoons. Usually like to be live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Central, but the news coming from Ravens practice today made us go live a little bit earlier. Of course, that was the beginning update at 1:32 Central, 2:30 Eastern from the Athletics lead Ravens reporter Jeff Zreback, who said Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson is not practicing today. Also not practicing Rashad Bateman, Justice Hill, Marlon Humphrey, and Jay Higgins. So immediately, everybody, myself included, went to a little bit of a frenzy, started freaking out and saying, oh no, Lamar Jackson injured again. I think we all remember when we got the original report from after the Chiefs game that Lamar Jackson was not injured or not practicing, and then he took 24 days off. Well, good thing is, John Harbaugh spoke after practice today and said that Lamar Jackson has knee soreness and, quote, he should be good. Now, I'm going to talk about this in a little bit more detail in the first segment on today's show. We just wanted to start off today's show with this news. I get that that's a good opportunity and a good update, and it's a positive update, if anything. However, I will remind you, it's John Harbaugh. That's a lot of coach speak right there. So just because he says he should be good, I think we all remember John Harbaugh saying that Lamar Jackson should be able to go after the bye week. And then what happened? The bye week came, the bye week went, you played the Chicago Bears, and Lamar Jackson was not playing in that football game. So I'm not super panicked about this news. I don't think it's going to be anything too serious. In fact, I would kind of expect him to be back at practice tomorrow, and I would expect him to play on Sunday against Chicago. But I am here telling you, be cautious of what John Harbaugh says. Be cautious of trusting 100% that quote of he should be good, because we've heard that exact same thing before from the head honcho. Welcome into the Ravens Rundown Live. If this is your first time, we are so glad you are here. We got a long show lined up for you guys. Past two times we've gone live during the week, it's been a 2-segment one. Well, this one is going to be a 3-segment one. Today's news and rumors is coming up on the top of the show, and then major changes ahead. We heard from John Harbaugh on Monday. Got to be thinking more about what those changes might be. We'll talk about running back Keaton Mitchell. Obviously, with today's news and rumors, we're talking about the developing story on Lamar Jackson. Then we're going to get into my Ravens-Browns preview. You got another AFC North game, that one coming up at 3:25 on Sunday. You've already played Cleveland. That's your only AFC North opponent so far this season, Gage. It's crazy. It's November 12th. You've only played one AFC North game so far. And it's against the same team. And then up last, the Baltimore Ravens. They got a gift from the Cleveland Browns. I'll tell you exactly what that is. But before, make sure you get in the comment section down below. If we're talking about playoff chances, what do you think the percent chance is that the Ravens win the AFC North? Scale it for me, 1 to 100 in that comment section down below. Gage, I'm going to pose this question to the flock. I'm also going to pose it to you. How sure are you feeling about the Ravens winning the AFC North right now?
I'm at 85%.
85%?
I am feeling very confident right now. I mean, how they've been playing defensively, especially. The first 5 games of the season, they looked like they don't know what they were doing with the ball, and now it's completely different. Like, they're just making their stops. They're doing a great job. I think they're finding their rhythm and finding what it means to play like a Raven at the right time. And it comes down to playing at the right time, and they seem to be doing that. And the rest of their schedule looks to be pretty easy going forward.
Yeah, no, it is lucky that you are at a point of this season where you are in a little bit of an easier schedule. And that's the thing about like the beginning of this season, is it's frustrating because you want to look at those games and there is maybe only one game against the Buffalo Bills that you're like, man, you should have won that football game. Other than that, you beat Cleveland in week 2. The Detroit Lions kind of just handled you on Monday Night Football in week 3. You got handled by the Kansas City Chiefs in week 4. And then weeks 5, 6, and 8, 8 you won, 5 and 6 you were without Lamar Jackson. And so you really can't look at any of those games besides the game against the Bills and say, oh, you should have won that game. And if you would have won that game, things would be much different. But I do feel good about this team and their chances going forward because the defense has been so much better. They have improved greatly, and I think that that's going to be a big thing moving forward, especially with the Browns, Jets, Bengals, with or without Joe Burrow. We don't know yet. Those are 3 easier opponents on the horizon.
And one of the things that this goes to the scheduling, there's not much that the Ravens could do for this more of the league. Do you hate that they have to play easier opponents right now, or would you rather be more difficult opponents? That way they can be ready for playoff football come December, January.
No, they've already played difficult enough opponents in the beginning of this season. And then, of course, they had to they're going to round out this season with difficult opponents again. And so it's like, I don't really see, I'm not going to be upset having to play the Jets and the Browns over these next couple weeks at all. Because at this point, you dug yourself so deep in a hole, starting 1-5, you just need wins. I don't care who it is. It could come against the 2007 Patriots. It also could come against the 2007 Detroit Lions. I frankly would not care either way.
Would you rather maybe spread out a bit, have more because I know earlier on they had a really tough first 5 games, and then after that it's going to do an easier slate and then go back to difficult, or would you like to be more spread out with the difficult games they have?
You mind throwing the schedule up? Do we have that List 8 logo? I'm sure that we still have from
I'll
from
go
what
find
you
it real
built the
quick.
other day. We'll kind of throw the schedule up so we can give you guys a little bit of a look-see at what we're talking about. Also, shout out to TT, Chris, Jack, Spencer, Evan. Appreciate you guys being here. Jacko says 40% chance that the Ravens win the AFC North. Jay Ralomes, what's up, my friend, says 67%. We got a ton of real ones already in here with us. Nashman says 75 to 80%. Right now in the poll, 100 to 76% is the leader. So, interesting to see where everybody else is sitting right now. Spencer saying, let's go Ravens. Nashman telling me, hey, TT saying Lamar will stomp Burrow. I could not agree more. Here's Baltimore's remaining schedule. So, yeah, it really gets hard for the rest of this year after the Thursday night game against Cincinnati, and maybe even before that, depending on if Joe Burrow plays or not. I would like, maybe to have Browns this week and then have Jets sprinkled in Week 16, because you have to think about it. The New England Patriots, they're going to be division leaders at that time. They're going to have a lot to play for. The Green Bay Packers are going to have a lot to play for as well. And the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 14 and Week 18, there's a good chance they're fighting for the division as well. So you're going to have 4 out of your last 5 opponents that are going to be deep into a fight to win their own division. Hey, I know it didn't show it in the build-up, but we will still be doing a mailbag. That's going to be our 4th segment today. We're just going to start it off talking about a gift, and then we're going to wrap it up with your questions. So if you want to get on the show, get those hashtag Ravens down below in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Use hashtag Ravens or Super Chat to get on today's Q&A, all righty? So if you got any questions, anything at all about, the playoffs, winning the AFC North, maybe moves you wish they would have made at the trade deadline, maybe free agency, anything you got, make sure, ask me down below in the comment section. Hot takes, hot sports opinions, anything. You let me know if you got anything you want to put on the mailbag. Again, that's going to be in the second half of our 4th segment today. Jacko saying 4-4 in the last 8. So if that is the case, Ravens would go 8-9. I don't think they would make the playoffs with an 8-9 record. I do think 9-8 would win the AFC North. Nashman, what happened with Lamar? I was watching your video and saw you were live. Nashman, Lamar and Gage, we could kind of keep that one out later because it's more today topical. Lamar Jackson did not practice today due to some knee soreness. Which is what John Harbaugh kind of let everybody know at the end of practice. Harbaugh said that he believes he should be good, but kind of like I made everybody cautious of earlier, we've heard John Harbaugh say those things before, and they have not been true. So I do think it's worth discussing. I do think it's worth to call it, developing news and say that it's big news for the Baltimore Ravens. Make sure y'all keep getting those questions in. Hashtag Ravens. Gage, what is a great example of a question they could ask?
Already see Jay Rollum's got one in about a small part of my says EDC didn't do jack at the trade deadline because he wants to extend Lamar and company next year.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a great example of one
question,
right there.
Jay Rollum.
Not even, it's more of a statement, but I kind of like the hot take on it a little bit. That's kind of what we're looking for.
TT, great question, but instead of using hashtag Joey, use hashtag Ravens. So just ask that again and use hashtag Ravens. Spencer says, do we think Lamar will have his November sickness like what's happened to him the past 2 years? I hope not. I want Lamar Jackson fully healthy, when it comes to his sickness and also when it comes to his body breaking down and things of that nature. ATL Ghostface getting a question in? Let's see it. Yes, like against the Browns, yes, I do believe. I do believe so. Alrighty, 54 people watching. Make sure that you like the video if this is y'all's first time in here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, ladies and gents. It is easy, it is free, and it takes absolutely zero time to get there. I'm trying to get to 30 likes, Gage, if you could put the weigh-in up. I'm trying to get to 30 likes before we get started with today's first segment. If you want the Ravens to beat the Browns, hit that thumbs up button. If you want Lamar Jackson fully healthy, hit that thumbs up button, okay? Just, go ahead, do it for yourself, and like today's video. Do it for me. Do it for us. Do it for Gage. What likes mean is more people in here hanging out with us, which means more views, more subscribers, which means Gage gets to put food on his table. Do you want Gage to be able to eat his Eggo waffles every morning? Or no, Gage is a Pop-Tart guy. Gage, what Pop-Tart do we eat today?
Currently, I have chocolate chip cookie Pop-Tart.
Ooh.
Very good. Very underrated.
Okay, you had one this morning?
I had one this morning. Yep, put in the toaster while I have some coffee being made while I'm getting myself ready. Then when I leave for work, I grab it and go.
Do you put butter on it or no?
No, just regular toast. Put in the toaster for a few minutes, let it get a little bit golden brown, and you're good to go.
There we go. Now you know how Gage likes his Pop-Tarts. I'm not a toaster Pop-Tart guy. I'm just straight out of the wrapping. Boom. I think my favorite one's strawberry. Did you ever have chocolate chip cookie dough? Because that's an old flavor that they had, and they don't have it anymore.
You know which flavor I heard they came out with for the holidays this year?
What?
Hot cocoa marshmallow.
Ooh, interesting.
I am intrigued. I haven't gotten it yet, but that's on my. I think I'm going to get that when I go get groceries next. That's on my list.
That's going to be a good one. I'm a big Pop-Tart guy. I am more of a breakfast. I went through a stage, and I'm just coming out of it, where like every single morning, I was 2 eggs, 2 slices of turkey bacon. Now the eggs maybe were scrambled, maybe they were over easy. It would depend. Now, that's just like, I'm getting away from it. I ate it too much for like 4 years straight, 3 years straight, maybe 2.5 years. It was really since I graduated college.
I got a hot take for you.
And now I'm a protein shake guy.
Well, I got a hot take for you. I think turkey bacon is superior to regular bacon.
I don't think it's superior, but I do think it's good.
I love turkey bacon.
I'm a turkey bacon guy. I'm never going to tell you turkey bacon sucks like a lot of people will. And so I hear what you're saying, and I do share a similar sentiment to that. Alrighty, we got 31 likes. Appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you stick around. Coming up on today's show, we're going to start with the Lamar Jackson injury news, the latest developments in that. Then some major changes ahead. That segment 2, Ravens-Brown preview. That's segment 3, and then we're going to wrap things up. Speaking of wrapping things up nice and tight, Baltimore Ravens got a gift from the Cleveland Browns. I'll tell you exactly what that is in just a couple of seconds. Can you make that say hands, not hand, Gage? That's my bad. We got Jay Rollum's thoughts on the Steelers signing Asante Samuel Jr. Great question, because we're actually going to talk about it in today's show, my friend. I think it's a good signing by them. I really do. I really do think it's a good signing for them. Yes, TT, we will, I think. Another great question, and that's going to be our second segment about a little bit more Keaton Mitchell, so make sure you stick around. Nashville says, do you work on YouTube full-time, or do you have a main side job? This is my main job. I have been working here at Chat Sports for a year and a half, 8 days from now. Will be exactly 1.5 years. We cover 41 different sports teams across all 4 No, three major leagues and college as well. So they keep us busy here, and we are. Yeah, we do. We are all YouTube all the time. It's a cool gig. We work hard, but we have a lot of fun doing it. Okay, Gage, you ready to roll? All righty, let's do it, man. First segment coming up right now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. My name is Joey Petersen, and the Ravens might have a big problem on their hands heading into Sunday's game of Baltimore versus Cleveland. Only their second AFC North game of the season so far. They got the Bengals twice and the Steelers twice to round out their schedule over the next 8 games. But, of course, that news I'm talking about is probably the news you saw earlier, that Lamar Jackson was not practicing today. He joined a pretty, lengthy, not as lengthy as we've seen, but a good amount of people on it. Injury report of Rashad Bateman, Justice Hill, Marlon Humphrey, and Jay Higgins. Now, I will tell you, we did get an update from John Harbaugh after practice that said Lamar Jackson was dealing with a little bit of knee soreness, but, quote, he should be good. Now, it's easy to read that and say, okay, it's fine. It's nothing to worry about. He's going to be just fine. He's going to be good to go for Sunday's game against Cleveland. I get that sounds positive. And if right now I were to place a wager on whether he plays or not, I would say he does. But we do also have to realize that it's Coach Harbaugh that's saying that. The same exact guy who gives coach speak in his sleep. The same exact guy who said going into the bye week that Lamar Jackson was going to be able to go after the bye week. And then the bye came. The bye went. You had your Week 8 matchup against Chicago, and guess who was not in the lineup? Lamar Jackson. So while I don't think you need to be pressing the panic button, and while I don't think it's going to be anything long-term or anything near as serious as his first injury was of a hamstring after that Chiefs game, I do think you need to take what John Harbaugh is saying with a grain of salt, because we've heard him, I don't want to say lie before, but I think we've heard him put a little bit more fluff on things than it is actually truthful when you look under the surface. And if he's not good to go, the part that it feels like they might be facing might have a major problem on their hands is you're going against an elite front in the Cleveland Browns. I'm talking an elite front. And even if he is there, he is going to be far less mobile than he would be if he was 100% fully healthy. I mean, when you think about the Cleveland Browns, obviously you think about Myles Garrett. He has almost as many sacks this season as the Baltimore Ravens defense in its entirety. He has 11. Baltimore has 12. Their pass rush, where it ranks in the National Football League, if you look at their time to pressure, it's at 2.51 seconds. That's first in the NFL. If you look at the sacks they've gotten, their quarterback pressure rate, both of those statistics, both of those numbers are top 10. You are facing a top 10 unit in football. A top 5 one, I'd argue, when it comes to being able to get to the passer. And the last time you played this team, they were able to do that all game long. Okay? 3 sacks, 15 quarterback pressures, a quarterback pressure rate of 45.5%. I know those numbers look off, but trust me, that's a mistake of producer Gage, not of your boy. I remember the numbers I put in there. And all of those were highs except the sacks, because Baltimore gave up 7 against Detroit. Okay? But the quarterback pressure rate, high for this season. Quarterback pressures allowed, high for this season as well. So it does feel like Baltimore might have more of a problem on their hands than originally anticipated with this news of Lamar Jackson dealing with an injury. And his status right now is still developing for Sunday's game. The offensive line, they just have not been good when it comes to pass blocking. Plain and simple. When you look at the PFF grades, Ronnie Stanley's been fine, 66.5. Voorhees, Linderbaum, they've been bad, 55 and 53. It says Daniel Falele at 67.2, but I'm just going to come out right now, tell you that number's a lie, because we know Daniel Falele has been the worst pass blocker of anybody on this Ravens offensive line. And then Roger Rosengarten, he's sitting at a 71.9. So while I do think Lamar Jackson is going to be okay, and I do think Lamar Jackson is going to play on Sunday, his limited mobility, I think, could cause some problems against that Cleveland Browns defensive line. You want him back and healthy as soon as possible. Do me one big favor. Hit that thumbs up button and like today's video. We need his health bar as full as it possibly could be, and we need as many good vibes out there as we can. So if you want him back as quickly as possible, hit that thumbs up button and like the video. This game is incredibly important on Sunday. I don't need to say that. You already know that. I get it. It's against a really bad Browns team. But right now, Baltimore has a 76% chance to make the playoffs via the Athletics playoff projection analytics. Really, really good number right there. But if you lose against Cleveland, that drops down almost 10%, a little bit more than 10% even, and that goes to 64%. Now, that's still relatively high, but I don't want to see what that would do for AFC North implications when you're still not the top in that division. This game is massive, okay? You need Lamar Jackson to be as good as possible. And a good Lamar Jackson is a mobile Lamar Jackson. And I've got a feeling that's not what you're going to want. That's not what you're going to see against Cleveland. Now, if I'm talking what I want to see against Cleveland, with him kind of dealing with this injury and this knee soreness, which I'm not too surprised by. I remember calling that game on Sunday and being like, whoa, Lamar Jackson was a little bit slow to get up there. If that is true, and he's nowhere near 100%, I want to see Derrick Henry's usage percentage as high as possible. I would love to see Keaton Mitchell in there as well. I just want to see you run the football a lot. And if you're going to run the football, don't do it with Lamar. I want to see limited quarterback runs. I want to see limited quarterback scrambles as well. I want this defense to continue to step up, continue to make plays, continue to force turnovers, continue to get stops like we've seen the last 4 weeks. And then I also want the wide receivers and the tight ends to start making plays. When you have a quarterback who's not at his healthiest, the best thing you can do as a pass catcher on this team is take what would have been a 3-yard slant, take that 60 yards to the house. Pop off 30 when you really should have only gotten 5. Something along those lines. Everybody else, when your quarterback isn't as fully healthy as he should be, everybody else has got to pitch in a little bit more. What's your concern level for Lamar Jackson's health? Scale it for me 1 to 100. 100, you're the most concerned. 1, you're the least concerned. I would say right now, I'm probably sitting at like a 20. I'm not incredibly concerned. If I were to scale for you of things you would like from 1 to 100, and we're talking about Prize Picks, I would put that at an 100. They are the sponsor of today's video. They are my favorite sponsor on this channel. And with them, the hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you could pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Lamar Jackson's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Here's my Prize Picks lineup for Sunday's game against Cleveland. Give me the more on Derrick Henry, 3.5 yards on the first rush. Give me the more on Keaton Mitchell, half a rushing touchdown. Feel like 3-4 gets in the end zone for the first time this year on Sunday. And go ahead, give me the more on Andre Sismet, Cleveland's kicker, to have more than 1.5 field goals made. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. We thank you, Prize Picks, for sponsoring today's show. So unfortunately, the lucky run on injuries is over for the Baltimore Ravens. As we talked about heavily on Thursday's show last week, they had 0 injuries to report on their Wednesday practice and on their Thursday practice. Well, unfortunately, for this week, that was not the case because Rashad Bateman still dealing with an ankle. Marlon Humphrey dealing with a finger. Running back Justice Hill, he was a new surprise on that injury report. And then Jay Higgins dealing with that knee injury as well. John Harbaugh spoke. Not only did he speak about Lamar Jackson, but he spoke about all of these guys, saying that there would be a guy or two who will miss Sunday's game against Cleveland. Marlon Humphrey is going to be one of those guys after getting a pin put into his finger. But still, they said on Sunday if Marlon Humphrey, or I believe this is Monday, if Marlon Humphrey is out for time, it's not going to be a lot, maybe 1 to 2 weeks. Now, the good news when it comes to Marlon Humphrey being out is that Dillon Gabriel sucks, okay? Dillon Gabriel has had a horrible run over his past couple of games. So I trust the defense around Marlon Humphrey to step up enough to where Cleveland doesn't really scare me in terms of putting points up on the board. Now, for Rashad Bateman, I would be shocked if he plays as well. John Harbaugh said there's going to be a guy or two that misses Sunday's game. Marlon Humphrey is the guy. Rashad Bateman is the or two, in my opinion. The bad news with that is the Browns' defense is solid. If the Browns had any sort of a decent offense, oh my gosh, their team would be so much better just because of how good that defense, specifically their defensive line, truly is. Now, if you're going to take good news from Rashad Bateman being out, if there is any, you could take this, that he's been quiet in 2025. So this offense has had to operate consistently 10 weeks through the season of him really not being that big of a factor. So if you're super worried about Rashad Bateman not playing, I would tell you, take a chill pill. It's kind of like he's been absent so far this season. In other news around the National Football League, the Pittsburgh Steelers signed cornerback Asante Samuel Jr. to their practice squad. He's not on their active roster yet, and if any other team wanted to sign him from their active roster, from Steelers practice squad to their active roster, they could do that if Asante Samuel Jr. would decide to join them and if it's mutual. But the Steelers landed a pretty good cornerback prospect. He was a guy we talked about a lot on this channel. I got a lot of questions about him in mailbags, and I always thought he'd fit well with this defense. He's young, but the thing that's about him is it's a risk. He just had spinal fusion surgery in April, and he plays a contact sport. So who knows what the future in his career is. But if he doesn't cost much, I think it would have been worth the gamble. Unfortunately, with as many teams as were interested in him, I'm sure that his price kind of went up a little bit more than originally anticipated. Regardless, though, he lands with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's a guy I could see having an impact there. They're moving things around a lot in that secondary. Jalen Ramsey just played safety the last 2 weeks because he was not doing well as a corner. Asante Samuel Jr. could be one of the missing pieces that they need. That's going to do it on today's show. Make sure you got me followed on social media, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on both of those platforms. And make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, youtube.com/RavensTV. You'll be happy that you did. All righty. There is our first segment done and dusted, ladies and gents. What is your concern level for Lamar's health? Let me know down below in that comment section. It was supposed to be, I believe, maybe I typed it wrong. I would love it if I typed it wrong. Let's see. Yeah, so where it says sack, quarterback pressures, quarterback pressure rate, you had TTP, sack. Yeah, you copied and pasted, but you didn't change them. Yeah. Alrighty. A little bit behind the scenes. A little bit of the back and forth between Gage and I. If y'all don't know, Gage and I are sworn enemies. We fake it for the camera every single day. Appreciate you guys for being here. Let me know your concern level for Lamar's health. This was our pin question. It's funny because the two majorities are the opposite sides of the spectrum. If you look at the live poll, 34% say 176, which means they're super concerned. But then the other 34% say 25-1, which means they're not concerned at all, which is funny.
I find it interesting, very interesting, and surprised there's not much debate about it in the chat by one way or the other.
Yeah, it's pretty much split into direct thirds of least amount of concern, most amount of concern, and then there's that middle third where it's like, kind of concerned, but not really. Because it's 33, 35, and 32. So,
for those that are concerned, why are they concerned? That's what I want to know.
I think they're concerned just because he's dealt with injuries so far this season. And it's your quarterback one, and it's a mobile quarterback. Like, it's not like it's just Tom Brady dealing with a knee injury, who all he does is drop back in the pocket. This is Lamar. Such a big part of this offense is him being able to use his legs and Todd Monken being able to use his legs. So, especially with how bad this offensive line is, I can see the reason for concern. Gage, I feel like we're good on questions for our final segment. Would you say that's true? Feels like we got a lot, and we don't need as many as usual. Yeah. Sweet. Okay. Good. I love a good hot take in there as well. If you guys want Lamar Jackson back as soon as possible, hit that thumbs up button, okay? We got 50 likes. We got 61 people watching. Could we get to 60 likes before we get our next segment going? We just need 9 more. Jay says, I'm concerned if you don't practice Friday. Yeah, that's fair. Depressed Ravens fan said, what injury happened to Lamar? He's got a little bit of knee soreness. Was not at practice today. John Harbaugh said should be good. But if we know anything about John Harbaugh, he likes to speak some coach speak every now and then. We have 52 likes. Just need 8 more people to hit that thumbs up button. I don't even know if we've liked it yet, Gage. So I'm going to help us out. And I'm going to go ahead and hit it from our account to help that grow up a little bit. Let's see. Bang. There we go. Now we should be at 54. Nash fan says, Lamar often gets injured his lower half. He's a running quarterback, which means his legs are very important. Yeah, they are. And I hated seeing him, slow to get up. I think Gage noticed it as well. Like Lamar Jackson, there's a couple of hits he took against Minnesota. He was slow to get back up, man, and I was a little bit concerned. All right, we just need 5 more likes. If we get 5 more, we will get into our next segment, which is major changes coming for Keaton Mitchell. Okay, I'm sure you guys are going to be excited to hear us talk a little bit about that. Gage, could we guess what I'm drinking in the cup today? Wrong.
I'm saying a Coke.
Wrong.
Dr. Pepper.
Diet Dr. Pepper. DDP. I love a good DDP. I guarantee you Lamar plays. Guaranteed. He'll be at practice tomorrow. Ravens are being extra cautious with him. Remember, we don't get the rest bye week of the season. Got to do your best to keep him healthy. Yep. Attendance Squad said, hey, Joey, what's going on, Attendance Squad? Jacko guesses beer. No, I wish. Alexander says if he wants him healthy, they need to change the OL ASAP. I agree, Alexander. Attendant, we didn't know either. We were planning on going at 4, but then Lamar injury news happened, so we got that a little bit earlier. 1 more like to get into our next segment. Just need 1 more person to hit that thumbs up button. The O-line better protects him because Lamar goes against Myles Garrett. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game on Sunday. That's going to be sure. I still feel good about the Ravens winning it, but that front does scare me a little bit. There we go. 60 likes. Gage, are you ready to roll? Let's get into it, yeah. And Fanatics for this one, correct? There we go. Will he win MVP if they go 12-5? I don't know because he missed 3 games. But right now, if nobody's far and away the best player in the NFL, maybe, man. If they go 12-5, Jonathan Taylor, I think Jonathan Taylor should be it. If Saquon was having the season Jonathan was, then they'd be pushing him for MVP more than he's being pushed right now. Thank you, Levi. I appreciate it. Okay, Keaton Mitchell added a little bit more to the game plan. Maybe. I'll tell you about it. Gage, ready to roll? Right now. Who else along the course of this season has been watching the Baltimore Ravens play football and have been screaming at their TV for a little bit more Keaton Mitchell? Because I think it's been obvious. Anytime he's been in the game over the last 3 weeks, he's given this offense, he's given this team just a little bit more juice, a little bit more energy. And he's just been grossly underutilized in 2025. I remember watching him in that week 1 preseason game against the Indianapolis Colts and thinking to myself, oh my goodness, Keaton Mitchell's back. Keaton Mitchell is going to have an unbelievable football season in 2025. And then week 1 rolls around. Healthy scratch. Week 2 rolls around. Healthy scratch. Same thing for week 3. Same thing for week 4. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? And then week 5, 3 snaps. Week 6, 0 snaps. Bye week, obviously, 0 snaps. So the first 7 weeks of the season, he logged 3 snaps. Well, that's gone up a little bit since after the bye. 5 snaps against the Bears. Week 9, he got 6. Week 10, he got 5 this most recent game. And he's making the most of his time in these ball games. 19 snaps total. He's gotten 15 carries for 93 yards, 6.2 yards a carry, and he's broken off not 1, but 2 runs of 20 or more yards in 15 carries. Now, the good thing about all of this is I've got some reasons to believe that Keaton Mitchell's usage is going to be changing very, very soon. There's going to be some major changes I believe John Harbaugh and Todd Monken are going to make before Sunday's game against Cleveland. I'll tell you exactly what those are. You're actually going to hear from John Harbaugh in just a second, but before, make sure you subscribe. Of course, we got to give you an update on our season-long sub-battle against our biggest rival channel, Steelers Talk, and we are closer than we've been in like the last month. We're only 3 subscribers down to Pittsburgh Steelers Talk. I need you guys to help me out. I just need 4 people who have not done it yet to minimize the screen right now, click that big red sub button, and then blow it back up and watch the rest of this video. So John Harbaugh has been questioned all season long by me, by anybody else who covers this team for a living. Why no Keaton Mitchell? He finally gave us a pretty solid answer earlier in this week. He said we were kind of intentional. We wanted to do more. For whatever reason, we didn't get to it. Definitely want to see more of Keaton going forward. It's hard to take plays off of Derrick Henry's plate. That's a challenge. I think he was kind of getting his sea legs back as a football player, offensively and on special teams. In the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, you're really starting to see him come alive. Now, I will say, some of these do sound like excuses from John Harbaugh. Him getting his sea legs back, that kind of sounds like an excuse. We saw how great he looked in the preseason. I will say, him saying Derrick Henry, it's hard to take carries off of his plate, I totally understand. Because if Derrick Henry were getting underutilized, every single one of us would be screaming at the top of our lungs, why aren't we giving the ball more to Derrick Henry? So they're in a little bit of a sticky situation, but it is nice to hear, quotes, definitely want to see more. And I think we are definitely going to see more from Keaton Mitchell. Because you heard it from the head coach, and every opportunity he's getting in these games, he's looked unbelievable. His career has been a whirlwind through these last 2.5 years. Signed as a UDFA out of ECU May 5th. He was having an awesome rookie year. Biggest surprise of that draft class, and then he tore his ACL in Week 15 against Jacksonville. The following summer, he was placed on the PUP list, meaning that he could be activated to the roster at some point in the season, which he was on November 3rd, but then he pretty much did not play the rest of that year, and when he did, it looked like he was running a little bit scared, like he didn't want to re-injure anything. It just didn't look like he was fully ready to go mentally or physically. It has been a wild, wild journey for Keaton Mitchell, but it's a journey that leads us to here. And his 6.2 yards a carry through this season tell me that he is ready to roll. And I'm so happy he wasn't dealt at the trade deadline. We actually talked about it a lot on this channel. We had seen a lot of rumors from a lot of inside sources, from ESPN to CBS, that Keaton Mitchell could be a guy to be looked at as on the trade block for Baltimore. And then I was kind of scared that out of the blue against Chicago, he was getting more reps, and it felt like they were a little bit, fattening the pig before the slaughter, trying to up his value a little bit. Say, hey, look, he's ripping off these runs, he's making these plays. Don't you want to trade for him? But good thing that did not happen. So coming up, I'm going to give you my perfect plan for Keaton Mitchell coming back, okay? What I believe Baltimore needs to do with him and the changes that they need to make just in general else outside in this Baltimore Ravens team. But if you want to see more Keaton Mitchell, let me know by hitting that thumbs up button, liking today's video. Cast your vote in that way. Hit that thumbs up and like today's show. I realize he's not running back one on this squad. Okay? That's obvious. He will never be running back one on this team as long as Derrick Henry is here. But I do feel like we can find a little bit more for him than just 3 carries a game. Okay? I feel like you can maybe look at what Detroit is doing with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I don't think it's crazy to think that Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell have that potential, because we all see that when it comes to Keaton Mitchell. In fact, John Harbaugh feels like he's the only one that doesn't. Look at their year so far. Jahmyr with more carries, 128 to Montgomery's 104. Now, I would probably favor Derrick Henry a little bit more in this sense. I'd probably go 20 more for Henry in this case and 20 less for Keaton Mitchell. But in a perfect world, it's like 150 to 70. Their yards, Gibbs at 693, Montgomery at 466. Their averages, both 4.5 or above, with Jahmyr's being 5.4. They've got 13 combined touchdowns. Each have the ability to rip off long runs. And then when you look at Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell, you see how much more it is in favor of Henry. Now, I'm not saying that Derrick Henry should get far less carries. I'm just saying Keaton Mitchell should get more. Okay? I truly believe that. And I get it. You got Justice Hill in this lineup. Well, he was on the injury report on Wednesday. Still don't really know his status for Sunday's game against Cleveland. And I do think this could be a good time for Keaton Mitchell to kind of, stake his claim as a guy who could possibly be running back 2 on this roster. And we all know Justice Hill is much better as a pass-catching back than as just a pure runner out of the backfield. Honestly, with the state of this offensive line, I know it might sound crazy to say this, but a shifty back like Keaton Mitchell might actually be best. You are not getting a lot of yards before contact behind Daniel Fa'alele and Andrew Voorhees. And if you're a back like Keaton Mitchell, who can slide a little bit better, who's a little bit quicker, that actually might be best for you from avoiding tackles from those big defensive linemen. So again, I don't want you to hear me saying that Derrick Henry's washed, he deserves less carries. I just think Keaton Mitchell should get more. And I love Derrick Henry, but I think this is only going to help him in the long run, keep him rejuvenized and healthy for the time you make it into the playoffs towards the end of the season when you need him at his best. How many carries a game do you think Keaton Mitchell should get? Let me know down below in the comment section. I feel like it should be sitting somewhere around 8 to 10, 10 to 12, somewhere in that range. Speaking of numbers, how about this number for you? 49. That's all this Ravens hoodie costs. If you go to chatsports.com/flock hoodie, we got a new sale for you. It was $75. It's $25 off. That's 33% off, even more than that. Okay? chatsports.com/flock hoodie. That's where you got to go to get it. I put that in the comment section. I put that in the description as well. Christmas is just in like 45 days. Do some early Christmas shopping because this deal won't last long. $49, that's all it'll cost you. It's a great present for your dad, your brother, your son, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, your friend. I don't care. Just get it for somebody this holiday season. That's not the only change I want to see made, Keaton Mitchell, but it's the only change that has some, actual legs behind it. There are a couple changes I would make, though, if I were John Harbaugh, and I would start with Emory Jones Jr. in for Daniel Fa'alele. Now, this might not be one that can happen soon, just given the fact that Emory Jones Jr. just started practicing pass pro at the NFL level like a couple of weeks ago because of his shoulder injury. But I do want to see this happen at least by December. Okay? That first game in December, I want to see Emory Jones Jr. playing in that one. Because Daniel Fa'alele just does this every single game. All he does is shuffle his feet and look for somebody to block without actually blocking anybody. And if he ever tries to actually block somebody, he almost gets his quarterback killed. This is a perfect example of it against Minnesota. Here he is against Dallas Turner. Now, in this screenshot, it looks like he's actually in pretty good position. Well, you would think wrong. All it took was one rip move from Dallas Turner, and Daniel Faalele is off balance. He's leaning forward. He's on the front of his toes, and he's got his arms fully extended. And then look what happens to Lamar Jackson because of that. He gets absolutely blindsided, drilled into the turf. Now, the Ravens were lucky because this was called unnecessary roughness by Dallas Turner, so they actually got positive yardage on this. But at the time, that would have backed Baltimore up like 10 yards for a last-second field goal before halftime. Daniel Faalele, I feel comfortable in saying, is going to get Lamar Jackson killed if he keeps on playing football for this football team. Plain and simple, outright. I know that sounds like I'm speaking hyperbolically, but I genuinely feel that way. It's got to change. Who do you think should start? Let me know down below. Should it be Emory Jones Jr. or should it be Daniel Faalele? Type in EJ or a DF in the comment section. I think the other change I'd like to see, it's another offensive one, is a little bit more Charlie Kolar as an offensive factor. I've really liked what I've seen from him this season. He's really, really impressed me. Now, the numbers aren't going to be anything jaw-dropping. 7 catches, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. I guess it is impressive that he's averaging a touchdown like every 2.5 catches or so. That's a pretty neat trick. He should keep that thing up, or I guess like every 3.5 catches or so, I should say. But it's just a really interesting situation for Baltimore because all 3 of their tight ends, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and Charlie Kolar, are on the final years of their contract. Now, we got some rumors recently that Isaiah Likely is most likely going to be franchise tagged, which I think would be a good move by this team. I don't think they re-signed Mark Andrews. I would love if they kept Charlie Kolar around. He seems like an unbelievable locker room guy. He seems like a guy people love to be around, and he's been a factor too. If you keep Likely and you keep Kolar, that's the best of both worlds in my opinion. Because you get Kolar, who's a great blocker, run and pass, and he showed he can be utilized as a pass-catching option as well. But then you got Isaiah Likely as your go-to receiving threat. And I get it. You'd like to see a little bit more from him this season. I'm in that same boat with you. I would as well. But I think we all know that the potential is there for him. That's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. And make sure you also got me followed on social media. Twitter, Instagram, I'm everywhere, and I'm here daily, so subscribe. Alrighty. Segment number 2 down, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let me know. Who do you think should start? Gage, I got to text my dad back for a second. But you tell the flock who you think should start. Emory Jones Jr. or Daniel Faalele. Yeah, no worries. I feel like it's shoo-in. It should be the rookie out of LSU. 4th-round pick. He's a guy I think's got a lot of potential. But what do you think?
I kind of agree with you. I mean, I know he doesn't really have much time, Emory Jones Jr., but I feel like he can, if you give him the opportunity to try to improve himself, I mean, you can't do any worse than how Daniel Faalele has done all season, in my eyes. I mean, every time you see him out there, you see a pass rusher get by an offensive lineman. 9 times out of 10, it's Daniel Faalele let him go right through and making errors. We've done it time and time again at highlight reels of how, not highlight if you call, more like lowlights on how Daniel Faalele has performed for the Ravens this season. It's been unbearable. I mean, it's embarrassing. If you want to have a Super Bowl contender, you need to have a great offensive line. That's how it all starts. I mean, if you look at the Eagles, last year's Super Bowl champions, how they won, they had a, you can say their defense, but they also had a great offensive line to allow Saquon Barkley those openings to do what Saquon Barkley does well. And if you want to have a great rushing attack, you need the same thing. You need to have an offensive lineman that can do the job and block, as well as whether it's for pass blocking or for run blocking. I don't see Daniel Faalele doing that, so I'd say give him an opportunity without.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that Daniel Faalele is exactly who we thought he was all season long. He's just not good enough, unfortunately. And look, I think give Emory Jones Jr. a shot. Wait until after Thanksgiving. Make sure he's got like a full month and a half of practice under his belt. But then after that, if Daniel Faalele is still struggling, then I think that experiment has officially run its course. If you agree with me. Alrighty, we got 2 more segments to go. Make sure as you guys continue to file in, keep hitting that thumbs up button. Keep liking today's video. We have got up next, Gage. Ooh. It is our preview of Ravens Browns. And Gage, could you do something for me? Could you make number 4 protect the QB instead of protect Lamar Jackson? Just God forbid if he doesn't play on Sunday. I kind of want to cover our ass there. If that makes sense, you know. That's just like, yeah, worst case scenario. Don Drippin's here. Nashman, Andrew, Christian, Don, Justin, Attendant, King Lee. He thinks that the DF should start. Don Drippin says, do you think we're going to be able to franchise tag Tyler Linderbaum or extend him this offseason? It is recently reported we're not within striking distance of a long-term deal. Don, we will not be franchise tagging him because the NFL does this weird thing where every offensive line franchise tag, it's like all one. So instead of having a franchise tag for centers and tackles and guards, they just have one for O-line. So it is incredibly expensive to franchise tag a center because they're technically around the same price as it would be to franchise tag a offensive tackle. And we all know tackles make far more money than centers do. And so I do not think that they're going to franchise tag him. I did see that report as well. I actually might be talking about that on tomorrow's show. Okay, coming up next, Ravens, Browns, preview. Gage, are we ready to roll? Alrighty, Ravens, Browns preview is coming at you right now. Happy game day, everybody. We got Ravens, Browns, AFC North matchup. Again, kind of crazy. It's only the Ravens' second AFC North game this year, and it's also their second game against the Cleveland Browns. Regardless, it is a big game no matter what because you are still under 500. But you got a chance to get back there for the first time since week 2 when you beat them last. A little bit of a reminder, we will be live today for Baltimore versus Cleveland. So to make sure I know you're going to be there, hit that thumbs up button to RSVP. I just need to get a little bit of a head count. I need to know how much guacamole to make. I need to know how much punch to order. So hit that thumbs up button. You're going to be joining us later today for Ravens versus Browns. The last time you played this team, it was heavily in your favor. You won that game 41-17 in M&T Bank Stadium. But if you remember, and if you go back to week 2, it was a little bit closer than I would have liked it to be at halftime. And then you just kind of pulled away and dominated the rest of it. When you talk about scouting, Cleveland, they're sitting at 2-7 right now. They're dead last in the AFC North. I think their chances to win the AFC North are at like plus 30,000. They're just coming off a loss to what many were saying was the worst team in football against the New York Jets. Kevin Stefanski did mention that he is still rolling with Dillon Gabriel this season. They do have a top 5 defense in the National Football League. So there's that. But that should tell you just how bad their offense is. And they've got Myles Garrett. That's a big reason why they've got that top 5 defense, and that's really all I've got to say. He's probably the best defensive player in the National Football League, although I do think Kyle Hamilton is closely behind him. This game is massive for the playoffs. Every single game is massive for the playoffs for the Baltimore Ravens. You win this one, your chances to get into the playoffs, they go up to 81%, and depending on the result from Cincinnati, Pittsburgh today, you might be on top of this division. Right now in the playoff picture, you are currently out of it. Not far out of it. You're in the hunt, but you are not a top 7 seed in the AFC. The only way you get to a top 7 seed in the AFC is if you win. Just win, baby. That's all you got to do. And frankly, that's really all I'm focused on for the rest of this season. I don't care if it's against the Browns, the Jets, the Steelers, the Patriots, the Packers. You just got to start winning football games like you've been doing for the last 3 weeks. My keys to victory. Number 1, we're going to start on the offensive side of the football. You got to be balanced, okay? You have to be balanced when you play the Cleveland Browns because, especially when you look at the last time you played them, you weren't. Derrick Henry had one of the worst days in his career. 11 carries, 23 yards, 2.1 yards a carry. Didn't find the end zone either. I mean, this Browns rush defense was amazing against Baltimore, and they've continued to be amazing for the rest of this season. If you look at them, they are best in so many statistics across run defense. Yards per play, yards per rush, 3.6 first. Stuff percentage. So any tackles that happen at or behind the line of scrimmage, 23.3%. Number 1. Expected points added per rush, negative 0.22. Number 1. This team's elite when it comes to stopping the run. They're good at a lot of things they do defensively. And this offense operates so much better when you can run the football consistently, when you can be balanced offensively. A lot of that goes to Derrick Henry, but a lot of that goes to the big boys up front if they're going to be able to push guys off their block, which they weren't able to do last time you played Cleveland. Felt like every time Derrick Henry got touched, it was at or behind the line of scrimmage. What's your score prediction for Ravens versus Browns? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll have my score prediction. The very last thing we do in this video will be that. So make sure you stick around to hear mine. But before you hear mine, I want to hear yours down below in that comment section. Key to victory number 2. You got to continue to create turnovers on defense, and there's a reason that Malachi Starks is pictured on this listicle because he's had back-to-back games of interceptions. Had his first career one 2 weeks ago on Thursday Night Football against the Miami Dolphins. Had another one last week against Minnesota, and I need that to continue. The good thing is you're playing a quarterback in Dillon Gabriel that has struggled this season. His completion percentage is under 60%. He's thrown 2 interceptions in the 7 games he's played. He started only 5 games, 2 interceptions in 5 starts. That number makes me believe that there could be another interception coming pretty soon for the young rookie quarterback. And he hasn't thrown a ton of picks, even though 2 isn't a small number, but he has a very high turnover-worthy play percentage. Basically, that's what percent of your throws could have resulted in a turnover or were likely to result in a turnover. It sits at 4.6, third highest in the National Football League. You got to turn this guy over, okay? And since the bye week, this defense has been doing just that. They've been solid. They've been really damn good. 21 quarterback hits, 10 forced turnovers, including on downs. You picked off J.J. McCarthy twice. You picked off Tua Tagovailoa. Only 3 touchdowns allowed. I need to see them continue to stack days, and they're going to have an opportunity to do it against one of the worst offenses in football, against Dillon Gabriel. Okay? So, that's going to be imperative. Another thing that's imperative is you guys taking advantage of our sponsor, downloading the PrizePicks app, using code CLNS. You get $50. All you got to do is play $5. The high flying and hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. On PrizePicks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Here's my PrizePicks lineup for today's game against the Cleveland Browns. Give me the more on Derrick Henry, 3.5 yards on his first rush. Love that one. Super exciting. I think Keaton Mitchell is going to find the end zone for the first time. So give me more on half a rushing touchdown or receiving touchdown for him. And I feel like their offense, Cleveland's, is going to stall out a lot. So give me more than 1.5 field goals made for their kicker. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Another key to victory, you got to be able to convert on third down and short. There were stark differences in this in the first half and the second half of the game against Minnesota. And it's been a problem all season long, okay? The Baltimore Ravens are dead last in third down conversion percentage on runs of 3rd and 2 or less. Now, I get it. That's a very niche statistic, but it means a lot, especially when you got a running back in your backfield like Derrick Henry. I don't think it's because of Derrick Henry. I think it's because of this offensive line, who can't seem to get any type of push on anybody because of their two interior guards. Now, like I said, stark differences in the first and second half of that Minnesota game. Todd Monken was in his bag in the second half. There were multiple third and shorts that the Minnesota Vikings won defensively over Baltimore in the first 30 minutes of that football game. But in the last 30, Todd Monken, he started showing out. Third and short against Minnesota in the second half. There was one. Andrews went under center, which is the common tush-push formation for Baltimore. Lamar Jackson was in a tailback, and he pitched it to Lamar. First down on the play. Lamar was in the shotgun. Derrick Henry next to him. Direct snap to him, and then automatic sweep left with a couple of pulling guards as well. First down, Baltimore Ravens. And then there was one where Lamar Jackson was under center, and then, for like what's seen the first time this year, fullback dive, Patrick Ricard. Guess what? First down as well. I've given you multiple. What is your biggest key to victory against Cleveland? Give me one and make it a good one. Give me one of mine. You might agree with me. Just let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Two more keys to victory. Number 4, protect the quarterback. This one is going to be massive. Engage. Before we get to that way of 3, can you show those Daniel Falele pictures from Lamar Jackson getting absolutely smoked against Minnesota? We showed this on a video earlier in this week, but I just think it is so perfect to see what Lamar Jackson's having to deal with when it comes to Daniel Falele. First, here's him just looking to go give somebody a big bear hug instead of being actually active and getting his hands on somebody. But this is more of what I'm talking about, okay? Him one-on-one with Dallas Turner. Right here, it looks like he's in really good position until Dallas Turner just goes ahead and gives him a rip move that gets him on his toes, out of position, leaning forward, arms fully extended, and then that almost gets Lamar Jackson killed. Absolutely drilled. And you're going against a front in Cleveland who is really, really, really talented. Okay? This pass rush, this season, their time to pressure 2.51 seconds. It's best in the NFL. It takes them 2.5 seconds to get pressure on opposing quarterbacks. 27 sacks on the year. A quarterback pressure rate of 37.2, top 10 in both those statistics as well. So it's up to this offensive line to give this quarterback a clean pocket. Give him time to throw, time to deliver these footballs, and just get Myles Garrett off his back. And the final thing, finish the ball game. Okay? Finish the ball game, man. This thing is so important. Whether you're playing a team that is equally as talented as you, or whether you're playing a team that's not. I don't care, frankly. It's the National Football League. You can lose any game you play on any given Sunday. You got to be able to finish these opponents out. That means when you're up, and it seems like this thing is almost done and dusted, still play to win the ball game. Don't play not to lose. Slam the door, put the nail in the coffin. I think Baltimore's going to do that. My score prediction, 31-7. Give me the Ravens over the Browns. I think you roll them just like you did last time. Your defense is so much better than last time you played this team. Your offense just feels like it's clicking even more than it was earlier in this season. So give me the Ravens, 31-7 over Cleveland. I think you get your second win in the AFC North. And depending on what happens today, Pittsburgh, Cincy, It might be tied for first place in the AFC North. That's going to do it. Make sure you got me followed on socials, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on both platforms. And make sure you subscribe to the channel because, hey, we'll see you later. Alrighty, what's your score prediction for Ravens versus Browns? Let me know down below, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited for this game. I'm honestly I've been loving watching this team play football recently. They're a really, really fun team to watch. Defense, it's been getting so much better, and it's been so great. I think Gilman's been the biggest help, being able to move Kyle Hamilton up to more of a jack-of-all-trades role. I think that's been the biggest thing. All right, Gage, let's waste no more time. Let's get into our final segment on today's show. The Baltimore Ravens got a gift from the Cleveland Browns. What that gift is, well, you got to wait to find out, okay? Appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Make sure you keep hitting that thumbs up button. Make sure you keep liking the video, and we really appreciate you guys being here. Okay, Gage, are we ready to roll? Almost, Gage says. All righty. Let's do it. Coming at you right now. The Baltimore Ravens have a massive game tomorrow against the Cleveland Browns. And speaking of them, they gave Baltimore a gift. I'll tell you what that is in just a couple of seconds, but I thought it'd be fun to race the Browns report to 50 subscribers. Who can get there first? I need you guys to help me and hit that sub button. Coming up on today's show, the Browns gave a gift to the Baltimore Ravens, okay? And it has to do with their quarterback, a little bit of a tease. And then on the back half, we're going to get into our Ravens Rundown live mailbag. We got questions coming from the best fans in the entire National Football League. But let's go ahead and start with this gift. Look, I'm really, really excited for this game. I've just been really excited to watch the Baltimore Ravens play football as they've started to stack these wins. And a big reason for them being able to stack those wins, of course, is because of the play of their defense. Now, they're going to face a team in the Cleveland Browns who just took maybe the worst loss in the National Football League so far this season, losing to the Jets, who at that point were just a one-win team. But if you look a little bit deeper into those stats, you see Dillon Gabriel, 17 for 32, 167 yards, right? And in his last two starts, 56.6% completion percentage, 161.5 yards a game, 4.9 yards per attempt, a quarterback rating average of 33.6. And mind you, against New York, they didn't have Sauce Gardner or Quinnen Williams. So what's this gift, Joey? Well, it seems his head coach wants to keep running it back with him. Kevin Stefanski spoke to the media this week and said, we're going to stick with Dillon. Obviously, this is a young player that you're trying to get one game better. We have to coach better. And guys, this is a gift from Baltimore. From Cleveland, excuse me. Them trotting out Dillon Gabriel after he's put up back-to-back horrible games, after, frankly, he hasn't even put a good game forward for the entirety of this season. Kevin Stefanski still rolling with the rookies is like wrapping something nice and tight and putting it on the Baltimore Ravens front door. Like Kevin Stefanski's going down the chimney with a big bag on his shoulder and saying, here you go, Ravens defense. You've had a hell of a last couple of games. You want to continue that streak? Now, they're the ones that are going to have to go and do it. But they're going to be facing a quarterback that pretty much everybody's been able to defend so far this season. Don't believe me? Hear from someone who covers this team on a daily basis. This is from Craig Garton. I'm sorry, Dillon, you cannot play NFL football. In my lifetime, I don't think there's another example of this that's ever happened. We've never seen it before. I've never seen a quarterback as bad as Dillon Gabriel in conjunction with a franchise that is still going to make him their starter. I've never seen these two things. I have never seen an incompetent coach and an incompetent quarterback united at the hip with no end in sight. Now, we already showed you his statistics, and we've talked about his statistics. 2 interceptions on the season. That's not terribly bad. But the turnover-worthy play percentage is at 4.6. That's the 3rd highest in the National Football League. That's a PFF metric of how often do you put the ball in harm's way? Well, he does it 4.6% of throws. Again, bottom 3 or top 3, depending on which way you look at it, in the National Football League. And since the bye week, man, this Ravens team has been key in turning the ball over. 10 total. 3 interceptions alone in the past 2 games. 2 for Malachi Starks, 1 for Marlon Humphrey. This team's starting to play really, really good football. And they're getting to go against a quarterback who's going to be easily the worst that they faced up until this point. I need at least a 3 turnover game from this defense. I get it. They're rounding into form. But, man, you could take advantage of this. And think about last year when you played the Cleveland Browns against Jameis Winston, when he put up 330 yards and 3 touchdowns on you. You know how many times you picked him off? 0. 0. You know how many picks you dropped? Like 4. Most notably, Kyle Hamilton, which was right in the breadbasket. Now, I'll never utter a bad word about Kyle Hamilton in my life, but that was not his best moment. I'm going to set the line at 1.5 interceptions against Cleveland on Sunday. Are you taking the over or are you taking the under? You let me know in that comment section down below. Let's play a little Vegas and give me the over or the under. With Prize Picks, it is more or less. And if you want more fun on Sundays, well, you got to download the Prize Picks app. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Derrick Henry's rush yards, carries, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that Flex Play because it's one of my favorite things about Prize Picks. Just gives you a little bit more of a safety blanket. Here's my Prize Picks lineup for Sunday's game. I got the more on Derrick Henry, 3.5 yards on the first rush. The more on Keaton Mitchell for half a rushing touchdown, and the more on the Browns kicker for 1.5 field goals made. Now, if you flex play it, one of these picks can miss, and you could still double your money. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Reminder, we will be live for the Cleveland-Baltimore game. Not today. That's going to be tomorrow, actually. So make sure you subscribe and make sure you join us. It's going to be an absolute blast. Play-by-play, in-depth analysis. Gage and I just having a ton of fun, and I hope you'll be there with us. Speaking of having a ton of fun, we have a ton of fun answering these questions. And the first one comes from our main man, ATL Ghostface. What do you think of DeAndre Hopkins' performance the whole season? Man, ATL, I think he's been even better than I thought he was possibly going to be. Like, I thought he would be utilized a little bit more than he has been. But for how he has been utilized, man, he has been great. He has been phenomenal. He's catching everything that comes his way. He has, making unbelievable plays. A couple of his touchdown catches have been ridiculous. I just think he should get the ball more. In fact, plain and simple, I think with Rashad Bateman most likely, and at the current recording of this video, he is most likely not going to be playing on Sunday against Cleveland. With him dealing with that injury, I think you should see more DeAndre Hopkins because I still think he's got stuff left in the tank. Mr. Ravens, what do you think about Jair Alexander retiring? Man, it's a bummer to see somebody who was so good a couple of years ago have fallen so far from where he was at the top of his game. I hope he gets better physically. I hope he gets better mentally. I don't know if he's done in this league. I would not want to give him another chance. But when it comes to you signing him in this offseason, I still think that was the right call. I think that was the right play. I think it was low risk, high reward. You didn't pay him a lot of money. You signed him to a very incentive-laden contract, which would have paid him more money. The more he played and the better he performed. And if that's the case, then great. You got a good cornerback out of it. But he wasn't playing. And when he wasn't playing well, so you didn't have to pay that much for him anyway. And you still got a draft pick for him from Howie Roseman, who everybody talks about as the best GM in football. Well, the player you traded for and gave up a 6th-rounder for isn't in the NFL anymore. So basically, you traded a 7th for a 6th, which is the real alien. Would you still say Harbaugh's message is lost, or is it on the comeback game? I would still say it's lost. I think the difference in performance over the last 4 weeks is not because of Harbaugh's message, more because of what they've done schematically on defense, with Kyle Hamilton having much more free reign. I genuinely believe that has been the biggest change for this team. And I don't think Harbaugh's message has changed too much than it was 5 weeks ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So, no. I think maybe a little bit more accountability has been taken on the team itself via the players, but I don't think this comeback that we've had is because of some rah-rah that John Harbaugh has drilled into these guys' heads. Elgato, if Lamar doesn't play on Sunday, do you think Snoop could carry this team to a win? So, at the current recording of this video, Lamar Jackson didn't practice on Wednesday. We don't know if he's going to go on Sunday, but if it is Snoop Huntley, I do think you can carry this team to the win because I believe in this defense to be able to let up like a touchdown against Cleveland. And I think you can look at Snoop Huntley and say, hey, can you get me 10 points today? And if you can, I still think you win this football game. Guys, this Browns offense is horrific, okay? So, yeah, I trust in Snoop. TT, will Marlon get surgery? Depends on what you mean by surgery. He got a pin put in his finger. So if you count that as surgery, then yeah, he got surgery. But if you're thinking like, reconstructive things like that, then no, he won't. But he did, I guess, technically go under the knife because he got a pin placed in his finger. Snow Prods coming up next. Do you think we're going to use Keaton more? Yes, I do. I actually talked about that on Friday's video. So if you haven't watched it, go check it out right now. It'll be at the end screen on today's video. I do think we're going to use Keaton Mitchell a little bit more. Look, I think it's been coaching malpractice how little that this team has actually used him. But John Harbaugh said this week earlier in a press conference that he thinks he's going to get a little bit more Keaton Mitchell on this team. So, yes, I do. Jay Relomes, small part of me wants to say EDC didn't do jack at the trade deadline because he wants to extend Lamar and company next year. I think that's a justification for it. But, like, if you would have traded for Kevin Zeitler, that wouldn't have cost you much. It would have cost you, like, around $1 million, maybe even less than that for the rest of this season. So, to say he was penny pinching to extend Lamar, I don't think I agree with that take. But I can see how it could be justified like that. Last question, James Green. Ravens should use Devontae Walker. Could not agree more, James. Could not agree more. And I think you'll see more Devontae Walker through these next couple of weeks, especially with Rashad Bateman dealing with what he's dealing with. I think he's going to be a star. Maybe not a star. I think he's going to be a hell of a player. How about that? But yes, I do think they should use Devontae Walker more. I totally agree. We're going to get on out of here, but make sure you guys subscribe at Joey Petersen on Twitter, at Joey Petersen on Instagram, and make sure you hit that big red sub button. Daily coverage right here on the Ravens Rundown. Alrighty, that is going to do it for today's show. Appreciate you guys being here. Luchavelli says Lamar playing. As of right now, I think the betting odds would probably favor yes, but who knows? Okay, Spencer. Oh, just want to say that I supported you for so long. You're doing great with everything right now. Anyway, always enjoy watching you. Keep grinding. You'll be at the top. Love you, Joey. Spencer, that means a ton, man. It truly does. we love what we get to do because we can get this back and forth with you guys. But also in our space and in my space as a host on social media, on YouTube, we see a lot of negativity. I see a lot of negativity. And so it's great to see some positivity, and especially from you, man. That means a lot. I really do appreciate it. All right, Gage, with that, we're going to get on out of here. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button on your way out. If you're joining us for the first time, make sure you subscribe as well. And with that, we'll see you next time. Y'all have a great day. God bless.